Hello and welcome to You Skipped That, a podcast where two friends get together, watch a movie that one of them hasn't seen, and then we talk about it. I'm Dan Clark.
And I'm Alex Grace.
And today we did a movie from all the way back in 2004. Doesn't seem like that should be way back, but it kind of is a 20-year-old movie at this point, which is weird to think. Starring Ron Perlman, Selma Blair, Jeffrey Tambor, Rupert Evans, John Hurt, talking about the comic book adaptation, Hellboy.
Yes.
The first one. Not talking about Golden Army, not talking about the David Harbour movie that got like a 2% on Rotten Tomatoes or something. This is a movie that I saw back in 2004 in the theaters. I have seen it so many times since then. I about wore my DVD out. I know it almost by heart. But what did you think?
I enjoyed it.
I could tell.
It had a great sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
The story was interesting.
Yeah.
I knew I was going to be into it when, it just kind of started off Indiana Jonesy.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yes, it's World War II. The Nazis are messing with dark magic. We gotta stop them. I mean, obviously.
Yeah. And
then all of a sudden Rasputin shows up. And I'm just like, okay, this is how this movie's gonna go.
Yep. Gets sucked into a giant portal.
Yeah.
Space gods, I guess, are gonna come through.
Yeah, I mean, just...
Cthulhu.
Yeah, basically Cthulhu.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, okay. So they just want to let Cthulhu out and, wreck everything.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. Cool, yeah.
For a reason. It's that South Park thing, let ancient evil gods rampage over the world. Step 2, ? Step 3, profit.
All right. Go off, Rasputin. He does have a whole song about him.
Not in this.
Not in this.
Not in this.
Though that would have been dope.
Yeah, it would have...
and probably would have fit with the tone at times.
At times.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to, it's not a complex plot, but it's kind of hard to figure out where to start on. Summary. So back in World War II, there was this guy who was trying to stop the occult, and a demon got through. Demon.
Depends. Are we going D&D rules?
I don't know that we need to. I don't know that we need to get that deep, but that's not going to stop us necessarily. The guy, Professor Broom, played by John Hurt, ends up raising this demon devil thing as his son. Never changes his name away from Hellboy.
Which is given to him by a couple American soldiers.
They start the Bureau of Paranormal Research and Defense, which Hellboy is kind of a central part of. Grows up, and they solve supernatural crimes.
Yeah. One
in particular in this one, at the hands of Rasputin, who is alive again. He survived his assassination attempts.
Survived getting sucked into space.
Yep.
By Cthulhu.
Really, one of the biggest twists is he doesn't show up in the sequel.
Yeah, how about that?
He's dead
He's
this time.
Actually dead.
Yeah, this is just, it's kind of cheesy, kind of corny.
Oh yeah, but in all the right ways.
In that kind of pulpy way, it feels like an old pulp novel if they wrote them about demon guys that fight against the forces of hell as opposed to for them. What do you think about it? What are some of your thoughts?
The thing I was kind of prepared for, but not fully prepared for, is just how funny this movie is at times.
Oh, Ron Perlman's hilarious.
Perlman's hysterical. David Hyde Pierce makes some pretty good quips. Although he's not credited in this movie, as he told me. It's an interesting detail.
Doug Jones plays Abe Sapien, a fish guy, and the producers, I guess, wanted some star power on the ticket, and so they picked bona fide action star David Hyde Pierce.
Because when I think action, I think Niles Crane.
To voice the kind of more academic half of the team. And when he watched back, I don't know if it was the dailies or a cut of the movie or whatever, he said, "Oh, Doug did a lot more than I did on this. I don't want to be credited." So they paid a bunch of money to have him in the movie so that they could use his name on the poster, and then he refused all credit.
There you go.
And then in the sequel, Doug Jones does his own voice, and really, had I not known that, I don't think I would have noticed a difference.
Oh, yeah.
Doug Jones is fantastic under all that makeup, again.
He always is.
Yeah,
that's his thing, is just slather about 10 pounds of makeup on him, and he'll make you believe he's an alien. Yeah.
Or a fish man.
Or whatever he is this week. Love him in Star Trek Discovery.
I have seen him in movies that I haven't enjoyed, but I've enjoyed him in every movie that I've seen him in.
Yeah.
So
the action was great. A lot of great fight scenes. Going back to the Indiana Jonesiness of it, the pulpiness of it, Hellboy gets his butt kicked frequently in this movie.
He does.
It's that classic Indiana Jones. He's getting his butt kicked right up until the moment he wins.
Yep.
I love some of the silly stuff, and there's a lot of silly stuff in this movie.
It's a silly movie.
Yeah. It's like, he opens up this big trunk and goes, oh yeah, we're going to need the special bullets for this. You know, holy water, clove extract, a little bit of gold, some frankincense, my own special blend.
Silver shavings.
And
he lists all that off. He goes, the works.
The works, yeah.
He specifically says the works.
The works.
WOIKS. That's not me making fun of it. No. He says it in exactly that way.
Yep.
His catchphrase, aw crap.
Yeah, crap.
The way he's just casual about the most, like, he has this thing stuck to his arm that was put there by some creature's tongue, and it's hooked into his arm, and it's wriggling around, and his keeper goes, what is that? And he goes, I don't know, let me go ask.
Yeah.
Passes the thing to him and goes out. Trash talker extraordinaire.
Oh, very much so.
And then his soft side always gets me. He loves cats.
Yes.
Loves Baby Ruth candy bars.
Uh-huh. Pancakes and bacon,
chili, nachos.
Yep. It was very funny every time they wheeled food in for him. And it was just like, 20 pounds of whatever it was.
Yep.
Pancakes stacked higher than me. A bowl of bacon that would feed an entire firehouse.
The time that he's in his room writing a letter or a poem for Liz.
Yeah.
And he's just got them scattered all over the floor. Just those glimpses into the soft side that just make the character for me.
Oh, definitely.
Like, I love when...
Did you catch that? I caught it.
There you go.
I caught it that time.
Uh-huh. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if it lasts.
We'll see if it lasts.
We noticed early on we say absolutely too much, so we have an absolutely jar, and I believe every episode we've made a donation to it.
Every episode.
I love the line where he's talking to his keeper, John Myers, played by Rupert Evans. And he goes, you're good with words.
Yes.
What's a good, solid word for need? He says, I don't know. Need is a good one? He goes, it's too needy.
Yeah, that tickled me.
And really kudos to Ron Perlman. He is in full body makeup.
Oh, big time.
I read that when he was actually in the makeup, the only part of him that you could see, because he even wears contacts, so you can't even see his eyes properly. The only part of skin that you can see through it is his eyelids.
That's crazy.
They had to paint those, but everything else was caked on top of them. And
that's nuts.
And you can't even see that much of Doug Jones. I think I read that it took him like 5 to 7 hours to have that put on, another 3 hours to take it off. Hellboy, his powers, he's like fire resistant, super strong. The red right hand of doom ages super slowly. You know, he was a baby in World War II, and they say it's like he's barely out of his 30s or out of his 20s.
Barely out of his 20s, yeah. In 2004.
And then Abe Sapien can breathe underwater as the
Fishman would be able to.
He's also telepathic.
Yes.
And then there's Liz Sherman, who shows up sporadically in the first act, and then a little more later on, who can catch on fire.
She goes boom.
Yeah, and she has very little control over even when she can start it. Mm-hmm. Even towards the end of the movie, when she's like, you have to hit me so that it will get me to the mental place to do this. Then on the bad guy side, we got Rasputin, we got Ilsa, who's just
there,
an evil Nazi woman.
Yeah.
Given the gift of eternal youth.
Yeah.
And then Cronin, who is a nightmare.
That thing is terrifying.
Yeah. That was when I was like, I don't know if I need to warn Alex about that. How do you feel about guys without, like, all of their face?
Yeah, very creepy. Very creepy.
You don't see him much.
No.
Out of his
getup.
Yeah.
Which in itself is creepy.
And then rounding out the cast, we got Jeffrey Tambor.
Yes.
As Tom Manning, like a government liaison, who's just brilliant in this.
He is. And you know what's funny? Jeffrey Tambor really generally plays Jeffrey Tambor in like 8 out of 10 things.
Yep.
But he does it so well. You know exactly what you're going to get, and it's going to be funny.
Yeah, not a big fan of Hellboy. He seems to be fine with, like, Abe.
Yeah.
It's just Hellboy he doesn't like.
Well, Hellboy is...
a problem.
Yeah, he's kind of like a wild card, you know? He sneaks out to go see the girl he likes.
He ends up getting his picture taken, and he has to go on TV to...
lie to the entire nation.
Yep.
On a regular basis.
Which is how we're introduced to him.
Yeah.
Him on TV. I love that cut, by the way. The Bureau of Paranormal Research and Defense, there is no such thing. And then a smash cut to the building.
Yeah, to the building with a little title card underneath it that goes, Bureau of Paranormal Research and Defense. It's like, yeah, there you go. Again, this is that kind of movie.
Yeah, he brings it. I found out that they had someone else cast for that role. And just like a week or two beforehand, that person just didn't show up. So they called Jeffrey Tambor and he went, "Hey, Jeff, you doing anything for the next 6 weeks? Want to be crotchety around a guy in red makeup?"
Sure, why not?
I'll be there.
I did it with the Muppets. Why not?
And then the final piece of the puzzle, John Hurt, who is absolutely bringing it.
Oh, my gosh.
At every point in this movie. He has some ridiculous dialogue.
I mean, to be fair, does John Hurt ever not bring it?
No.
No. It doesn't matter how silly the role is. He comes and treats it like it's Shakespeare.
And he really does. He doesn't have the laughs in it. I can't think of a single time that he is funny, but he delivers a lot of exposition. He is kind of the straight man through the whole thing.
Yeah.
And he does it wonderfully. Like, watching the whole thing, I was like, man, I know what happens to this character, and I don't want it to happen.
Right.
Which apparently happens a lot earlier in the comics. It's not really a spoiler. Like, the second scene he's diagnosed with pretty advanced cancer. So it's not a surprise that he dies.
Right. It's a surprise how.
It's a surprise how he dies.
Yeah.
But I guess in the comics it happens earlier, and Guillermo del Toro decided to make it happen later because it's something that should feel like an absence, which is a great move.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm going to own that one.
There we go.
I was going to say it, Tink. But yeah, I mean, as soon as he passes, you feel it through the rest of the movie.
Yeah, he is an absence. And you can see that the characters feel it as well. It's, especially Hellboy is really feeling the loss. In fact, it's, in a way, Professor Broom saves the day.
Yeah.
There at the end with, I do remember watching this movie with the commentary, and it got to that scene where Hellboy comes in, and Ron Perlman said, "I picked up John Hurt and held him very tenderly in my arms, and John Hurt ripped the nastiest fart." He said, "I had to sit there, and I wasn't about to ruin the take. I wasn't going to give him that satisfaction." Yeah.
That is fantastic.
John Hurt, who also looks older in this than he did in Doctor Who.
10 years
12
later.
years later. And he still looks old there, but he looks ancient in this.
Yeah.
Got the, frizzy white hair.
Yeah, it's the hair. It's the way they dress him. I'm sure there was a little bit of makeup there.
Yeah, he's hunched over a lot. He walks with a cane. This used to be part of my regular rotation. I could throw this in any time. And it's kind of worked its way out. And watching it again, I was like, I don't know why I'm not watching this every 6 months like clockwork. Yeah. This is just it's got so many quotable lines that every time they went to a new scene, I was like, it's this scene.
Yeah, he's going to say the thing.
I love this scene. This is the part where he says, "Aw, crap."
Yeah. You did a good job of containing that.
Yeah.
I got none of that energy. It's really cool seeing somebody else's characters kind of through the Guillermo del Toro. Because, I've never really watched any of his movies, but you exist, you see clips, you see trailers.
If you exist on the internet and you're at all interested in movies, you've seen something.
I mean, the set designs were incredible. Every place felt real, cool, and kind of spooky.
Yeah.
It all felt really, Halloween-y, which kind of fits, considering...
It takes place around Halloween, yeah.
Takes place around Halloween, and this episode is going to air at the beginning of October.
And
end of September, yeah.
This is the lead-in.
This is the kickoff, so to speak.
Right.
But, it just kind of brings you into this world and just takes you on a fun thrill ride through it and just kicks you out at the end.
Yeah, it is kind of like I said about Stick It last week. It is kind of a movie that goes until it stops.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, bad guy's dead. We're going to have a quick conversation. We are out of here. We're done.
Credits.
Yep.
Guillermo del Toro. All right, so you got any trivia or fun facts?
I got trivia.
Buckle up, folks. This felt like a movie that would have trivia.
This was, believe it or not, a really hard sell around 2004, especially since it came out about the same time as The Passion of the Christ.
Yeah, timing is kind of rough there.
Actually, fun little story here. When I went and saw The Passion of the Christ with a youth group.
Yeah.
It wasn't from the church that I was going to, but it was with a youth group with a girl that I liked. Not that that's important to the story. That was the first time I saw an advertisement for this. Standing out there in the lobby, waiting to go in to watch The Passion of the Christ, there was a big banner that just said Hellboy, had a picture of him and said, believe it or not, he's the good guy. Like, God, please no one notice that huge banner hanging right over the door that we're about to go through.
I don't want to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah. I knew nothing about the character at the time. Right. I didn't know enough to defend him, but yeah, just, you know. But yeah, it continued to be a hard sell. When it came to theaters, some theaters wouldn't carry it at all. In some more religious countries, it was renamed to Super Sapiens.
Yeah, there you go.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
In certain parts of the United States, typically further south, more conservative Christian areas, the theaters that would run it would put it on the billboard outside as Hello Boy. Just stick an O in the middle there.
Amazing. Hello, boy.
Hello, boy. Then one of my favorite lines from Hellboy, from the character Hellboy, was, I can promise you, I'll always look this good. It's actually a line that Guillermo del Toro said to his wife.
That's hilarious.
She was giving him some grief over the fact that he was always wearing, like, oversized Hawaiian shirts. He said, hey, at least I can guarantee you, I'll always look this good.
There you go.
Yeah. Only with
That's
more.
a good line.
Yeah, Hellboy has some great lines. Both funny, and then, like, every time I watch it, I feel he's pouring his heart out to Liz, who he likes very much. And he's like, I know that with other guys you feel like you belong. And then he just kind of gestures to his face like, I wish I could do something to fix this.
Yeah.
Like, that gets me every time.
That's painful.
And Ron Perlman hits both angles so well. You believe that he's this cocky guy. You believe that he's this self-conscious guy, especially in the date scene where he's following John and Liz.
Yes.
You believe that he's this guy who loves pancakes and kittens and Baby Ruth bars. He manages to do all of it so well. But yeah, that date scene is hilarious.
Yes.
John and Liz are out on what he thinks is a date, but when you kind of catch snippets of their conversation, all Liz wants to talk about is Hellboy.
And really John, too. He's like, hey, he really likes you, right?
Yeah, John does make a move.
Oh, yeah.
Or two. But Hellboy, unbeknownst to them, but knownst to us,
yes,
is following them, jumping from rooftop to rooftop, and like freaking out over the fact that she takes his picture, and he ends up befriending like a 9-year-old boy who's up on one of the rooftops and goes down and gets some cookies. And
yeah, my mom baked cookies. You're gonna finish that.
The kid's like, why don't you just tell her how you feel? He's like, it's not that easy. And besides, you're like 9.
Why am I taking advice from you?
Why would I take advice from you? And all of this is intercut with the more serious John Hurt material as he's kind of learning about this terrifying creature. And it's very well, like, you can see there's a reason that Hellboy didn't win any Academy Awards. But you can see in there how Guillermo del Toro ended up
winning Academy Awards. Yeah.
Doing more acclaimed stuff, like I think Crimson Peak did really well, and of course Shape of Water.
So that brings me to a topic. What is up with Guillermo del Toro and fish people?
I don't know.
Well, what's that all about?
I mean, this one was kind of important to the plot.
Yeah, and this one already existed. It wasn't like it was his fish guy.
But you gotta wonder, did the fish guy draw him to the material?
Exactly. Is he just like, man, fish people are awesome?
Uh-huh.
Is that just like his thing? Like, fish people are cool.
Yeah, I do think that he's attracted to, like, outcasts and monsters and all of that.
You can tell.
Because there's he directed Blade 2, where Blade doesn't really belong in either world. He is the daywalker, not quite belonging with the vampires.
Mm-hmm. Some people are always trying to ice skate uphill.
That was Blade 1. That wasn't his fault.
Still, such a great line.
It's great in that it's not great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the peak of cheese.
Yeah.
And I love that they worked it into Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yep.
Yeah. Made me so happy.
Pan's Labyrinth also has that. This girl doesn't feel like she belongs. Shape of Water is two people a person and a fish person that don't really belong.
Fish people are people too, Dan.
I mean, yeah, it's right there in the name.
Come on, yeah.
So, yeah, he's got something about, like, outcasts and all of that, and it's always beautiful. That's one of the more, like, sincere parts of this.
It was very, very moving. I liked kind of the bookends of the movie.
What makes a man a man?
Yeah, and then, Myers kind of finishing that thought at the end was really good.
Yeah. Because it really is, and I guess it's something that runs through quite a bit of the comics of, does he belong back in hell? Is it inevitable that he's going to cause destruction? It's what Manning says that one time, like, after you've destroyed every monster, after you have solved
every freak,
there'll still be one left.
Yep.
You. And how are you going to handle that when it comes about?
Yeah.
And at the same time, I liked how their relationship grew.
Yes.
Because Manning and Hellboy are at odds through the entire movie.
Yeah.
And then they get into a fight together. They're both fighting an enemy, and they kind of get a respect for each other because they help each other out, and they kind of figure out what each other are about. And it's very quick, but it doesn't feel forced.
Yeah, it doesn't. Like, it's that classic guy thing of, well, we went through something real rough, so I guess we're buds now. You know? That, maybe you aren't so bad.
So any other thoughts on Hellboy? Was there anything about the movie that you didn't like?
Anything about the movie I didn't like? It's funny. The only thing I can think of is just watching it at the very beginning, as soon as we got to the present day. I'm like, oh man, this whole thing was shot with that 2000s edgy movie filter.
A little bit blue.
Yeah, everything's a little bit blue. Every green is a little too green. It's all dark while not being dark.
But then once you actually get into the world of the BPRD, it gets that Del Toro flair.
Yes.
So it turns out to be kind of interesting. This is the real world, quote unquote. And now once we get into Del Toro's world, it gets more bearable.
Yeah. Speaking about Del Toro's world, I loved that library set. That is so cool. The vault as they're walking through with all of the artifacts. Very neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said earlier, just the set design in this is incredible.
Great little hint at just, like, everything is not as you know it. When Broom is giving the history lesson, and he goes, and then in 1948, the war ends with the death of Adolf Hitler.
I think it was 58, wasn't it? It was like way later.
It might have been.
Yeah.
But Myers goes, oh, he died in 1945, and Broom just looks at him, smiles, and goes, did he?
Did he?
Yeah. I did feel like watching it again for the first time in a long time, in that first stretch, there is a lot of just, this happens now, this happens now. We have to get all the pieces on the board as quickly as possible. And like, we're at the mountain pass where Rasputin comes back, and now we're in the doctor's office and he's sick, and now we're at looking at the TV, and now we're back in this, and John Myers is showing up, and
and like, no joke, after that opening bit in 1943 or whatever, 44, you don't see Hellboy again for like 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's a good build-up to it.
It's a good build-up.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you're right. There's just so much that happens in that 15 minutes. Yeah.
We got like 8 characters we have to introduce you to, and...
You kind of led right up to a great analogy for me. It was like playing a game of Mousetrap. You're going to spend as much time setting up the doggone Mousetrap as you are playing the doggone game.
Yeah. It kind of reminded me a little bit. It's not as severe as this, but of Rise of Skywalker.
Yes.
Where, like, whether you like that movie or you don't like that movie, the first part of that whole thing is just like, we're going to do this, and then this, and then this, and then this. And now, hey, did you know about hyperspace skipping? Don't worry, we're not going to bring it up again because it's just important for this scene. Rey's doing this, and Poe's doing this, and Finn's doing this. It's with Poe, but, they got a whole thing going on. Don't worry about it. We'll get it later. And Finn has to tell Rey something, or don't worry about it. We'll get back to it later. And they never do. It just has that kind of, we have to get everything out real quick. Get all the toys out of the toy box, and then we can play with them.
Yep.
This does it better than
definitely.
Rise of Skywalker. But, yeah, it has that feel of just, okay, everyone out, and let's go. That would be my major gripe with it. And even that is not real big, because once it hits its stride, you forget about it.
And for me, watching it, anything that in the moment I was like, I don't really love this, they would like immediately explain it. And it's like, oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
And I mean, I kind of do that in my head anyways, but it was kind of nice that the movie did it for me. I was like, oh yeah, this lady is a little wooden. oh, maybe it's because she's trying to keep her emotions in control so she doesn't catch on fire.
Yeah. There were a couple things there that I wish they'd lingered on a little bit, like in that sequence, like when Hellboy comes and brings beer and they sit out in the garden of her mental hospital and they talk and she says, you know what, I'm doing good here. If you really care about me, you won't come back. Just let me get better about this. And then the very next time you see her, she's having a relapse, and then...
that was forced. Like, Rasputin made that happen because he needed her to push him in the right direction.
Yeah.
Because I kind of had that thought, too. And then I'm like, oh, no, she's just a pawn in this whole thing.
Right.
It's like, that tracks.
She's kind of a pawn in it all the way to the end. She does have her uses. She's not just, like, a sidelined female character just so that we have
a woman in the movie,
a woman to put on the posters and all of that. She's useful, but then everything kind of no pun intended backfires on her. Like towards the end where she solves a thing that we think is the major problem.
The problem, yeah.
And ends up playing directly into the actual problem.
Yep.
Yeah, I think there were some issues with Liz. She shows back up in the sequel, which, since you enjoyed this, we might do the sequel on down the line.
I would be down with that.
We will not be doing the David Harbour movie.
I feel bad for David Harbour, man, because I love him. He's great.
The thing is, a movie that we will probably be doing, Violent Night, where he plays Santa Claus in, I almost said Christmas Die Hard, but Die Hard takes place at Christmas anyway. Yeah. More overtly Christmas Die Hard.
Yeah.
And he's really, really good in it. And it's a pretty good movie.
Right.
It's not David Harbour's fault. Kind of like it's not Ian McShane's fault that Hellboy wasn't good, because he's in that as well. He kind of plays the broom character, but I don't know if that's who he's playing. I know I watched the movie.
You don't remember it. You scrubbed it from your brain.
I didn't care.
Yeah. I've had some of those.
Yeah. And they are actually coming out dating this episode ever so slightly. I think it's later this year they're coming out with another Hellboy movie that looks like it's kind of going back to a little bit more of what the comics are, which is a little darker, a little more moody, and a little more monster of the week, and not world-saving.
Yeah.
It looks interesting.
Superhero kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and this and the next one as well, it's if we don't succeed, the world ends.
Yeah.
Whereas in the comic, it's usually more like, this is a problem we got to go solve, and it's over and done and solved, so... that's Hellboy and the Crooked Man, I think is what it's called. It looks interesting. I have high hopes for it. But yeah, we might squeeze in maybe sometime next year, Hellboy 2, take a little bit of a break, do other stuff. But I wish we'd gotten more of this. I wish we'd gotten more Ron Perlman, Guillermo del Toro, Doug Jones, Hellboy.
Yeah.
And I'm really kind of sad that we didn't. Any other thoughts?
Not about the movie. I mean, just great.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Don't skip it.
Any thoughts on anything else?
Well, we have a little surprise for you guys this week. You're going to get bonus, Dan and Alex.
There you go.
Yeah. 2 times that you skipped that.
We are doubling the subscription price, though.
Yes, 2 times 0.
Yes.
We actually kind of calculated the schedule in a weird way at one point and ended up needing to do 2 episodes in the same week to line up the whole year.
Yeah.
And this is that week, and it's kind of our lead-in to Halloween month.
We are going to do more of like a theme for next month.
Yeah.
Kind of a Halloween-themed.
Yeah.
And where Alex is going to do some movies he liked as a kid, and I'm going to do actual scary movies.
Yeah. And then we're going to culminate it in quite possibly the most terrifying movie Dan's ever had to watch.
I can't emphasize this enough. I don't want to.
Yeah. He is feeling existential dread at what we're going to watch.
When we get to the end of October, just know it wasn't my choice.
Muhahahahaha. No.
Hopefully my misery makes for good listening.
When we get there to the fans of this franchise, I'm sorry. We're just having some fun. But,
Are we?
We are. We're having a laugh.
No, I can enjoy movies that I don't enjoy.
Exactly.
I will go into it with an open mind.
There you go. To finish out this week, I will be back with another movie. Mm-hmm. Kind of along the lines of fear, but like kind of a different, more real fear.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll talk about that on Wednesday.
Yeah. But until then, I'm Dan Clark.
I haven't told them about the social media yet, Dan.
Fine.
We have a pattern for this now.
Yeah, but I was thrown off. I apologize. Hey,
Yeah.
where can people follow us on social media?
Yes. So they can find us on Facebook, the words "You Skip That." They can find us on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads with the words "You Skip That" all together. No capitalization, no punctuation, no spaces.
All right.
Just all one word.
Cool.
And you can find all of this down in the show notes. If you're listening to this on YouTube, it's down in the Seymour down here, just below you. I'm pointing like you can see it, like I'm a YouTuber.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm ashamed of that.
Don't forget to ring that bell.
Don't forget to ring that bell. Yeah. Like, comment, and subscribe. No, just no. Stop. I mean, if you want to do that stuff, go for it. But I'm not going to make you. Like, for crying out loud.
Yeah. So we'll see you a little bit later on this week.
Yeah.
With another movie. It is interesting that this is a double week, considering the name of the next movie.
Yes.
There you go.
There you go. A little hint.
Little hint there.
Little hint.
But until Wednesday, I'm Dan Clark.
And I'm Alex Grace.
And this has been You Skip That.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.